Hi, I'm Salvation, and in this video I want to talk about the announced changes to dot damage and the so-called double dipping in parts of Exile's 3.0 patch. I saw a lot of confusion in threads about these changes, so I thought I could make a video to explain some of them. As there will be a beta, these things might all change again before we see them on the live realm, but for now this is what we know. The core part is that all dots will be calculated from the base damage and not from the damage of the hit that caused them. Modifiers to fire damage will still increase your burn damage, and chaos damage will still increase poison damage, but it won't double dip anymore, as the base for the dot isn't the already modified value anymore. Let's look at a small example with pretty simple numbers. The assumed base damage is 1000 fire damage, let's say a flame blast hit. With a total of multipliers that add up to 150% more fire or elemental damage, we would right now get a total damage of 4500. 2500 initial hit damage and then 2000 burn damage over 4 seconds. With the changes, the dot isn't based on the 2500, but on the 1000 base damage. At the same time, GGG announced that they doubled the effects of Ignite, Poison and Bleed. This will still only give us 1600 burn damage over 4 seconds for a total of 4100 damage. I used pretty simple numbers and only one multiplier here, but I think you can see how it will work with the new system. If you look at a number, it seems like not all that much of a big change, but as the number gets higher, the difference only gets bigger. With double dipping in effect, the scaling was exponential, and this is exactly what GGG wanted to remove, because it was impossible to balance for it. But GGG said that they will up the numbers on the nodes on the tree and on items and introduce new passives that only affect the dot damage and balance it around that new situation to make dot builds still viable and also keep dot damage as a source to improve a build's single target capabilities. This will of course need lots of balancing, and at this point it's impossible to tell how that balancing will turn out. Something that isn't obvious at first is that a consequence of such change is that critical strikes won't make the dot any better. Until now it did, because it made the initial hit bigger and made the resulting dot also higher, because the crit is a multiplier to the base. It won't apply in the new system at all. But GGG thought of that too and will introduce a keystone to apply the crit multiplier to dots. That's why there is all this talk about crit in the GGG development manifesto. One thing that will need lots of balance in my opinion are skills like Righteous Fire, that are even currently do not double dip, but just deal a dot. Those need to be toned down if all nodes and items that affect dot get a big buff. RIF isn't really in a bad spot right now, such a big boost would probably be too much. So, these are the most important changes for now. If you have any other questions about these two manifesto posts, feel free to ask them in the comments and I will try to answer them if I can. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe.